Hey everybody, Mature Simmer here. So we are here back in American Truck Simulator, and as you can see, Iowa is now present. So we're going to go ahead and instead of running around Missouri a bit, we're going to go ahead and jump into Iowa, and then, maybe we'll do Missouri or do some jobs around Missouri afterwards. But I need to do 104 miles or 100 miles to qualify for the World of Trucks thing. So at least we'll start to try to do that. And this is a nice short trip over to Council Bluffs with moving containers that just makes it. And kind of given, where these are, I probably then, it'll be better than going over here where I've got the cities together and I have to kind of crisscross a bit. That's always a bit of the challenge. And so maybe what we'll do is we'll use some towns in Missouri to maybe kind of get some of these things done as well, and also get some exposure into Missouri beyond what we've done. So let's hop in on this job here. So I do apologize if you are a follower of the truck series that I do on the channel. Okay, that looks like a gate. That really looks like a gate, but it's not going to open because I can see it on the map. Now this should open. There we go. So anyway, if you're following the truck series, let me get things moving, unlock my eye tracking. Yeah, I found a better way to do that that doesn't cause as many problems. But let me get to the point of what I've been saying. So I know in my Euro truck, one that I put up, I left on my flight tracker, and so it covered the bar at the top. The other thing that I don't think I've shared on the American Truck series yet is we've been told the VTC Viva is going to be no more, which is a little disappointing, but it is what it is. Nothing we can do about it. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go ahead and try to use another one or not, because I don't know if they use the trucky thing. I like the trucky mods piece, but they said basically, that'll potentially stop and all that. So may lose that bar on the bottom, but we'll still have the bar on the top. But that obviously is of less use than some of the other things. So let's see. Let's get this up on our dash so that once I pick up and reset, we'll be good. But yeah, we'll have a little bit of ruralness. I don't know. It's probably as good a word as any as I can come up with for that. But yeah. So between these two states, at least a good part of the two states, certainly Iowa is going to be a lot more rural than I think Missouri. I think Missouri has a few spots here and there. Now, is this here or up? Thinking, now that I think about this, I'm thinking it's up there. So I'm gonna head over there because I think this is just a rest area. So it's kind of cool.
When possible, make a U-turn.
I don't need to make a U-turn. I'm going over here. Yes, this is clearly where this is, so don't know why they're telling me that, but they are. Yeah, we might be able to just back out or head out the gate. So we'll do kind of a really obvious thing. So, again, my understanding is these little things that we're driving through are for cattle. And so basically you can have an open gate, but they don't like the feeling of things on their hooves, on their feet get uncomfortable or maybe even fall in, and they don't want to cross it. so it keeps them from entering and or exiting something. But it's nice that they caught stuff like that. So we got some folks back there by the forklift. Hopefully they'll stay out of the way. I mean, I'm got my rear beeper going, so that should work. But yeah, we're going to try to get a few things done, as seems to be and probably will now always be the situation. Got some real life conflicts that are going to make it a little more challenging to get enough content together here to keep this going, but I think we'll be okay. So my intent this morning as I sit, I gotta put myself in gear, but let's reset, and again, 104, so this will be a short episode, but my intent is to get a couple done, and that'll get us, in theory, 16 days of runway from when this appears before I technically need to do something else. All right, which way? Which way? You're not going to tell me. You're awful. All right, we need to go to the right, it looks like. And then we'll be going up 29. I always hate when it does that. All right. Because then it's kind of like redoing certain things, and right, so we'll have that little piece that we don't have discovered. And of course now, because of going out to the map, I think it's messed up my wheel, so I might try something. I don't know if it'll work. Let me get on a straight stretch of road.
Get ready to turn left.
So things were good, but not so good. Alright, I think we're better now. So another little trick that hopefully I was trying to figure out if it would work. But it's better than it was. It's not wonderful, but it's better than it was.
Left.
So yes, I am going to cut him off because I don't want to slow down. Very simple. Alright, we'll get ourselves on here and enjoying some Missouri and some Iowa. So now we're definitely kind of in the heart of the Midwest, the Great Plains as it would be called, and this is probably a wonderful time to talk about, somewhat revisit, the situation about people being upset about, oh, these are boring states, I want to get over to the east side, all of that. And as I've always said, there's just kind of there's a different beauty of each of these places. And again, the people who choose to live there, and some people don't choose to live there. I mean, let's be honest, sometimes people just can't afford to leave somewhere, and they might want to go somewhere, and they can't. I was really hoping I could swing out, but he obviously took off, so let's just... Can't really see well in that mirror, but we're okay. So there's Smithfield, lots of good food, bacon. I know, I think of, when I think of Smithfield, I think of bacon. So, but yeah, obviously in any area, just like where we moved to, I mean, there'd be a lot of people who'd be like, why do you want to live there? And people have different desires at different points in their life, that things that make them happy, and I would think a lot of folks living out here in this space would just be slow pace of life, good people, community, things that are more and more challenging and have always been challenging when you deal with cities and things like that. It's just very cold and sterile in especially really large cities. People kind of keep to themselves. You might get a few friends here and there, but for the most part, you're walking down the street, and even though you're surrounded, welcome to Iowa. So now we're here. So, welcome to Iowa. Let me echo that sentiment. But people are like, well, I just want this different feeling. But then the flip side is there is that slower pace of life. There's just less happening. I mean, now that we're in a little bit more rural area, um, for me, probably more so the first time in my life than my wife. Even though I would still argue, that she wasn't really in a rural area. I mean, she was still 40, 50 miles from some pretty big cities or towns, 100 miles for sure from something like Cleveland or whatever. And so that's very different than something like this, where you're hundreds of miles from Des Moines, which is, kind of the next big town. And it's just different, and there's less. And so sometimes it's like, oh, we'd like to go do something for entertainment, or we'd like to go eat somewhere, and it's like, there's like 3 restaurants in town that serve, what we're in the mood for, instead of 20 or 50 or 100 or whatever if you're in some really big cities. So it does take some getting used to, but it's one of those, especially if this is where someone was born and this is what they grew up with, like this is what they understand life to be. Just like anywhere in the world, or it's got nothing to do with just the U.S. I mean, any country you're
Keep
born in,
right, and then turn right.
they wouldn't know. I mean, people wouldn't know, and we've heard stories over and over of
Right.
people who don't. I mean, now it's probably less likely that you're not 15
Keep
miles.
left.
Whoop, 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 whoop. I was wondering about that. Oh, come on, really? It's because it reset again. So now I've got my 2 weeks reset again of not having any
Keep right, and then turn right.
any violations. Unbelievable. Hello? I'm like, I promise I haven't jumped out of my chair, but my head tracking like got stuck. That is an interesting. I'm gonna stop and look at that. That's some art. I assume this exists on a bridge in Council Bluffs. But yeah, we don't do enough of that, I guess, in the series, and that's part of the fun. I mean, I'm always on, go, 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 and again, a trucker would be go, go, go.
Go straight.
But again, stopping for 15 seconds like that, probably in the grand scheme of things, doesn't really cost you much. So, alright, KFC. So the good news is, like, all the real companies, real gas, because we got Exxon on one corner, Flying J on the other. Can't see. My head won't turn that far with how I have things gated. But that's fine. But yeah, pretty big truck stop. Really, that should be the Flying J, and this should be something else. But Flying J's are usually big truck stops. Pilot, stuff like that. Truck America. So, Orange Belt Stages. But yeah, so while it, maybe is less flashy, less exciting than, what people who keep complaining about Truck Simulator, like, I want to get to New York, I want to get to Florida. I hate driving through most of Florida. Love Disney World, big Disney fan and whatever, but for me, like, you could destroy the rest of Florida and just leave Disney World, and I'd be happy. And I'd say it kind of looked the same if it just became a wasteland
Go
versus
straight.
what it is now. But the people that live there and love it would be like, what are you talking about?
Keep right.
Similar to the
And then
people
turn
here
right.
in, really? No. That's not right. I gotta go through this light. It may have just been telling me a little early, but okay.
Turn right.
Oh, speaking of, I guess we're going to Smithfield. Now, am I really turning right here? I think so. A little confusing, but... Ooh, lots of trailers. And that's kind of what you'd have at a place like
Get
this.
ready to turn left.
Because if this is like a real Smithfield plant, you know, they're doing a lot of stuff. All right, and so funny, Swift back there, so that might make sense. Put a trucking company right next to a major plant, and then I'm sure it makes it easy for them to service.
You have arrived at your destination.
Okay, where do we gotta, oh, there it is. I'm like, where do we gotta get in? On the road to feed families, I think is what it says. On the road to feed America's families. All right, so the nice thing is, again, I've got a little bit of space here, so I can get in there and then, you know, hopefully back up, you know, kind of straight and make it work. This looks like they'd be loading, I don't know, grease from making the bacon? I don't know. Well, the bacon's not usually cooked when they make it, so that's a little silly. But, this just seems a weird place to be delivering pods, containers. Whatever, that's where they want me. I don't question, I just deliver. I mean, I question to myself, but I'm not going to be like, why'd you pick there? I'll just drop the pods, and I'll go look for another job out of Council Bluffs and see where we can go. But as I said, nice, short, little taste of Iowa here. Come on. Thank you. Alright, get that. Stop our engine. Unload the trailer. And there we go. Let's see. Alright, we had just leveled up. It's been a while, so, because I did the proficiency at the driving academy, and I'm going to get back to those too, and so, but I'll probably, the next one for sure, I'm still going to do something in Iowa, but maybe then I'll throw in some of the proficiency ones. I think I'm going to need at least 2 episodes to finish that up, potentially, but, you know, I've still got that one skill that I could not master and could not do, so if I start getting more of those, like, you know, we'll see how things go. But with that, let's just focus on what we've got here. Hope you've enjoyed this little visit to Iowa. If you haven't dropped a like or subscribe, please consider that. Greatly appreciate it, and it really helps the YouTube algorithm start to get things out and just expand the reach of the channel. Coming up on 2,000 subscribers, so if you're not one of them, help me get there. It's a wonderful milestone. Would love to kind of get that checked off as we continue to grow. And I will see you next time.